What's up, everybody? This is PC from Paula's Purse, where the bag is always filled with topics to discuss. Hey! Happy New Year to everybody. Let me get my water. Happy New Year to all of you. I want to thank you once again, as always. Thank you for keeping up with me. Thanks for following me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. January 1, 2025. First and foremost, you guys know I lost my dog, Kiwi, December 9th. So I have just really been, how should I say it? Grieving the loss of my dog. And I've kind of been in solitude for pretty much like 14 months. Um, yeah. So that's what I've been doing the last 2.5, 3 weeks. I've just been by myself, just trying to, get over losing Sam. But let me say this. Y'all know I got my cup. Excuse me. Cheers to my dog Kiwi and Samantha. The day that I lost Kiwi, maybe an hour after, I was on the patio and I was crying. I'm tearing up, but I'm not boo-hooing, because Kiwi was old. She was 12, about to be 13. And Sam and Kiwi just came to me, and I had a sense of happiness and relief, and I felt like they were together. And maybe a couple of you know who Sam is, Sammy, Samantha. And Kiwi. So they are together. So shouts out to Kiwi and Sam. Thank you for the time. Uh, 12 years, almost 13 years. That's a long time for a dog. So thank you. All right, now moving right along. Someone asked me to share um, my Airbnb experience. So, yeah, that's what we have pulled out of the grab bag. All right. And let me just say, all right. So, next time I'm going to discuss my journey, this 14-month journey that I've been on, and what I've always said, and what I tell people who are closest to me, that I am going wherever God leads me. That's it. I don't know where I'm going, when I'm going, but on this journey, I have just turned it over to God, because I know that um, God is the only one that I can trust. And I mean, trust with my life totally, right? I don't know what's ahead of me, but I trust that God has gone ahead before me to make a way, right? Yeah. So, um, someone asked me to share my Airbnb experience. So let me just say, um, when I left the South Side, right, I realized, well, first things first. I've been running across a lot of people who are bipolar, schizophrenic, multiple personality, narcissistic, um, just a gamut of mental issues. And I have been asking myself and praying and asking God, like, why? Like, what am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to gain? Right? And the only thing that I could think of would be patience, right? Because what I learned without going into personal information about people, but what I learned is once I recognize that there is a mental defect there, then I immediately have to pull back, right? And you may have said some things to me and made and hurt me, hurt my feelings or made me feel a certain kind of way. And I may want to put my hands on you, but when I realize that you have a mental defect, then once again I have to pull back because it serves me no purpose, right? It serves me no purpose to put my hands on crazy lady. Crazy lady. You say, who's crazy lady? Marie. It serves me no purpose to put my hands on her, right? It's kind of like fighting someone that you know is retarded. Let's just use that, right? Why? Doesn't make sense. Yeah. So I left the South Side because a friend of mine really kind of hurt me, but then I realized that he was never my friend. He had grandiose ideas like us being together, and that was never going to be, right? Never, ever, ever, ever would that be. And that's number one. Number two, the people who are closest to me know that I'm celibate, right? I'm 10 months in to being celibate. So whatever ideas you might have had, they're futile because it would never come to fruition because I'm celibate, right? I'm waiting on him, whoever him is. So I left the South Side because I didn't want to put my hands on someone. Um, and I said, you know what? Because I had saved up money. I picked up a rental car and I said, I'm just going to go to an Airbnb, right? I said, I'll go to an Airbnb and then I'll just, try to figure it out from there. So let me just tell you, I went to an Airbnb, which was a duplex, right? Two duplexes. They just built them. So it was a 3 bedroom, 2 bath. And if you go on to Paula's Purse, you'll see that I actually recorded a couple of videos there. One that I um, did a tribute to Rodney White. But anyway, the house itself, I loved it. The only thing that I didn't like was the washer and dryer was cheap, so it didn't really wash like it should. That could just be me. And but I was okay with that. All right, don't get me wrong. I was okay with it, but you know when something isn't clean. So outside of the washer, I was okay, right? I went from one duplex and then they asked me to move my things to the next duplex, right? So I went there. But let me just tell you what happened to me. And this has never happened to me at any other Airbnb, but it did happen here. And it is important for me to use my platform so that you can avoid whatever I might not be able to avoid, and I can tell you what happened and give you my take on it and my experience, so that it doesn't happen to you, or if it does, then you know what steps you would need to take. All right, so I check in with the host, and the host, his name is Lewis, and the owner, his name is Kari, right? So I get checked in into Airbnb A, And the next day, and I have my dog, right? Because, when you're looking for a place, whether it's Verbal or Airbnb, you click on the filter. So I clicked on the filter and I clicked on pet friendly, right? So all of the homes that pop up are pet friendly, and it's about 1,000 homes that popped up, right? So I choose one. It's a brand new place. It's right there at 610. It's on the bus line. So I'm like, okay, cool. I go, I check in with my dog. The next day, they asked me to move to B. So I was like, okay, cool. So I go to B, and I'm having a good time. It's just me and my dog. There's no one else there. Now, mind you, like I said, the host name is Lewis. And so one evening, Lewis came. No, I take that back. Kari, the owner, came to the Airbnb where I was. And I asked him if they were hiring for anything, right? And he said, yeah, we actually are. I could use some help. I could, he threw out a couple of suggestions. And he said, but if you would just speak to Lewis, the host. So I said, okay, no problem. I will speak to Lewis. So Kari leaves. He goes next door. Apparently, they are getting that Airbnb ready for a couple of guys who are going to come through, which I ended up seeing them. It was about three Pakistani guys, right? So I'm over in B. My dog and I, we're chilling. We're having a good time. I got the whole house to myself. So then the host, Lewis, comes in, right? And I don't know, was he bringing? Yeah, yeah. Okay. He had some towels and stuff, so a couple of people had checked out, and he was getting that bedding because someone else was going to check into one of the rooms, right? So when he came in, I said, "Hey, Louis, are you guys are y'all hiring for anything?" And he was like, "Yeah." So that's how the conversation started. So he told me that he has a couple of businesses and that he also works with Kari, who owns the Airbnb, that they manage a couple of other Airbnbs, right? So I'm listening to him, and he's saying that he needs help with invoicing. And so I said, what about the cleaning? And he said, well, we have a cleaning crew. I just really need help with the invoicing. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, I tell you what, he told me that everything's done on his app. On it, he does the has an app on his phone. So I said, well, I have my laptop. So whenever you come back, when you get time, we can sit down and you can show me, how you do your invoicing, and I would definitely come on board to help you, with that. So then he switched the conversation and said, have you ever dated anyone young or younger than myself? And I started thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, I have. Everyone that I've dated has been younger than me, except one person who I regret ever dating, but who doesn't regret dating certain people? He was the only person older than me, but everyone else has been younger than me. So that was the question that he asked. And I said, yeah, I've dated younger people. And he said, he asked me, would I date him? Right. And I don't know this guy's age, but just looking at his face, I was thinking maybe mid 20s or late 20s. I would say between 25 and 29, right? So he told me that he wasn't experienced sexually, and at this point I'm feeling funny. I'm feeling kind of uncomfortable because I'm just wondering where are we going with this. So I'm on the couch. He's sitting on the in one of the bar stools, and then he walks down the hall, and the first door is the bathroom, right? And he goes in the bathroom. He turns on the light, and I see him looking at something, and then he says, "Hey, come here," and I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he says, "Come here, let me show you something." So I walk down the hall, and he says, "Oh, I wanted to see how we look together in the mirror." I'm 5'10". This ninja is 5'6". Mind you, let me back up. He asked me for a hug, and I gave him a hug, and his hand slipped, like almost touched my butt. I overlooked it because I said maybe you just let your hand slip because I don't want to have to put my hands on anybody, but I'm not going to be disrespected. So that was number one, which, like I said, I let that go. Then, when he asked me to come into the bathroom because he wanted to see how we looked, that made me feel uncomfortable, right? So I looked in the mirror and I turned around and I went back to the couch and I sat down. I sat down. He came out and I redirected the conversation back to the invoicing. And I said, once again, don't forget, come back with your phone. We'll go over the app and I can start the invoicing, right? So then he gets up and he closed the curtain. So that was like number three for me because I'm thinking, damn, hopefully I'm not about to be raped, right? And that's what my thought process was. So he closed the curtain and it was getting dark at that point. It was actually dark. And Corey was next door. And so I ended the conversation because, like I said, I was feeling funny at that point, and he left. He left and went next door, and I don't know what was said when he went next door, but I know within 2 or 3 minutes, Corey came through the door, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Now here he come. What does he want? So he said he was connecting the. He had a plastic bag with this tube in it, and he said, and mind you, the entire place was brand new. So he was coming to connect the ice maker to the water hose in the back of the refrigerator. So he did that. I didn't say anything because I just, wanted him to leave so I could lock the door. All right. So a couple of days later, the owner, Kari, came back and he said, "Hey, I heard you were looking, for, to help us out." And I said, "Yeah, so, what positions do you think, what do you have?" And he said he was looking for someone to manage the Airbnb, told me that they were managing someone else's Airbnb, and he has this koala thing that he was working on, excuse me, where you reach out to hospitals and clinics to help them with their bill when it comes to FedEx. And he was like, "Yeah, you'll be good for all of that," right? We went in the back bedroom and we were talking about that. And then I told him what happened with the host. So after I told him what happened with the host, I showed him the text message that I sent to the host, which is Lewis. And he asked me would I be willing to have a meeting. And I was like, absolutely, yeah. So I think the following day or 2 days later was Thanksgiving, right? The owner came by with 2 plates. I ended up getting food poisoning. I got food poisoning. So 2 days into me having food poisoning, Lewis, the host, and Kari, the owner, came to the Airbnb. They were ready for a meeting, supposedly. So they both come in with masks on, right? And I'm like, what's going on? Are y'all sick? Kari's not sick. I'm sick. I'm not wearing a mask. Lewis is wearing a mask. And let me say this. So Kari turns on his recorder to record the meeting. So I explain what I just explained to you all what happened. So he's recording that. Then the host, when it's his turn to speak, he says this, just like this, right? He's wearing a mask. I can't talk. We're going to have to do this another time because I just can't speak. I don't know. Maybe I picked up something from my child. Now, that doesn't sound like someone who is having trouble speaking. That just sounds like someone who doesn't want to speak, right? So he doesn't speak. He doesn't give his side of the story. I gave my side of the story. They left. I ended up checking out of, I was at the Airbnb for 3.5 weeks. And like I said, besides the little issue with the host, I actually enjoyed my stay. Okay, so I left there with my dog, and I get a text from Kari, the owner, and he wants to know if I will send him the text messages that I sent the host, and I told him no, that that I wasn't going to do that. So when you check out of an Airbnb, they ask you to rate your stay, and because I was extending my stay every week, I never gave my review. I didn't want to give the review while I was there, because I didn't want any issues. I didn't want somebody to say, oh, you got to get out, or, this, that, or third. So I just never gave my review. Then I want to say this was a couple of days before my dog died. I received a phone call from Airbnb support, which they had called me a couple of times to get my side of the story. And I got a message that said I needed to give my review because Koala LLC was going to give their review, which is Lakari. I think that's how you say his name. Lakari, yeah. So he was going to give his review regardless. So I said, let me just give my review. And I really didn't say much about anything. Then Lakari, who turns out to just be a liar of sorts, the review he gave of me said this, that I was touched inappropriately, that I brought it to his attention that I was touched inappropriately, only for me to turn around and touch someone else inappropriately. Stop it, bro. I really wanted to call your mother, Lucari, if you ever see this. But I realized if you're a liar, then the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Either your mother is a liar or your father is a liar. Or maybe you just decided to be a liar and neither one of them are. Either way, come on now. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, it doesn't pay to lie. It just doesn't pay to lie. Plus, you gave a bad review of me. I mean, you lied about it, but it's okay. I expected you to lie. I really did. I thought, well, matter of fact, I thought maybe the host would say something dishonest, but it turned out to be you. So, experiencing the owner and the host in that way, I would say a 1 star for your property. But the property itself was definitely, I would definitely give it a 4. And by the way, I left all my seasonings over there under the cabinet. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. I wanted to give my Airbnb experience. And well, let me say this before I move on. I left there and went to another Airbnb. And nothing is perfect. Nothing is ever how you're going to want it to be. It's only going to be perfect or the way you want it to be when you have your own, when you're in your own place. But if you're in an Airbnb, I look for when I'm looking for an Airbnb, I look for an Airbnb that allows you to cook, allows you to have access to the full kitchen, which includes refrigerator, stove, and all of that. Allows you to use the washer and dryer because some Airbnbs may have a refrigerator and a microwave in your room, and that's all you have access to, and that's not enough for me. If I'm going to be in an Airbnb, it needs to feel like home, meaning I need to have total access to the entire house. Shout out to Miss Alicia. I'm always giving you a shout out. Hey, baby girl, shout out to you. Um, because I was trying to get my Airbnb and the date got stuck in the system on my end, and so she actually booked it for me, and it's in my name now. But she did put it in her name. So shouts out to you, baby girl. And I love you and I appreciate you so much. So where I am now, I am in the suburbs out in Spring, and I couldn't ask for more. It has just been a hell of a journey. I have put all my trust in God, and wherever He leads me, that is where I will go. So I'm working out here, and it's been awesome because my oldest daughter, my son in law, and my grandson are 15 minutes away. And straight down 1960 all the way to Atascocita is where my other daughter is. So I'm close to everyone. And I'm just so grateful and thankful to God. Have you ever tried putting all your trust in God, one whom you cannot see? Um, I will tell you initially when I turned my life over to God, I was afraid, scared, and believing in something that you can't see takes a lot of trust and a lot of guts. And I wouldn't trade this journey for anything. I would not trade this journey for anything. It has been great, and God has been so good every step of the way. When I come back, I am going to talk to you guys about my journey, my 14-month journey. That is what I'm going to bring to you next because when you hear this story, it is nothing but the goodness of God. And don't forget grace and mercy, my really good friends. Even when I fail, God still gives me grace and mercy. And God is so good. And I am going to always use my platform to put God first and to give you content that you can think about, that you can learn from. Every mistake that I make, I will give it to you because I don't want you to make the same mistake. Even when it comes to Airbnb, how you talk to people, how you allow people to talk to you. Um, and so I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. I've been on this 14-month journey and I am in a great place and space. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Paula's First, where the bag is always filled with topics to discuss. Peace.